Hello, Empower Series family. Clifton Johnson here. I want to welcome you to the Empower Series podcast, where we give hope, inspiration, education, and connect you to resources to help you take that next step to achieve your goal. I want to say hello to my viewers in the United States and around the world. You are in the right place. We are going to talk to a good friend of mine, Dexter Evans. So if you have been following the Empower Series since, 2019, we started doing podcasts. And Dexter was podcast number 2. He's my boy, right? But he's a human being. He's a son. He's a brother. He's an uncle. He's a fabulous guy, and I'm going to let him explain more of what he does. But I asked him to be on the podcast today because we have been on a very long journey together. A journey starting with just a chance meeting and identifying each other's goals. And I started the relationship with him being a client of mine and me helping him achieve his goals. But actually, he's been such a blessing to me. So we're going to talk about our journey of goal setting, grit, growth, and riding the wave of faith through the process. So get your pens and paper ready, because there's something in this message that's going to be for you. Right? There are no accidents. You're not watching this by chance. You're watching this intentfully for a purpose. So you're going to feel differently, you're going to think differently, and you're going to act differently as a result of this. So everybody, I want you to give a warm welcome through the vibes to my boy, Dexter Evans. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
Man, I appreciate you, though, taking time out of your life, because you're a busy man.
It's busy.
You're a busy man, and we don't know how much time we got, sure, right? But you're taking some time with us in the Empower Series family again. So not only have you been a podcast guest number 2, you've also been a Empower Series panelist.
Sure.
You've stepped in for me when I wasn't able to be there. Man, you just done so much, and you've been a friend. You've been calling me, making sure I got balance in my life, right? Exactly. So we all need a Dexter in our lives. So again, man, I want to appreciate you for being who you are and being a special person in my life. So Absolutely. Thanks, man.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's been a good journey, Clifton. To see you have grown this from the time you first had a conversation with me about making that leap was inspirational, because you asked questions that most of us ask of our parents, that most of us ask of leaders in our lives, people we look up to for inspiration or for a good word of advice. And so you came to a small group of friends, and you had this idea. And to see this manifest itself for a number of years, and to see it grow, and to see it bless so many people, and to then finally start meeting people who've either been on your show or watched the show.
Yeah,
that to me is incredible. Because Dallas is it's a big city, but it's a small place that really can connect a lot of people with 3 degrees of separation. It's no longer 6. It's 3 degrees of separation. So it's been really nice to see this continue to grow, and for you to curate such panelists, such guests to do your show. It's been remarkable, man. So I'm very proud of you.
But man,
so kudos on that, brother.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. So it's really interesting, because when we all have an idea, so many ideas just kind of come and go.
Sure.
Right. And so the Empower Series has been one of those ideas that just stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
And as I spent time with it, fleshing it out, one of the things that I've always, the biggest thing about the Empower Series is that we are all given ideas. That's like the even playing field. We all have ideas. And those ideas, depending on how much we are a good steward of those, will dictate how we spend our time, who we spend our time with, and then it will manifest with what's around us in our lives, right? So that's the principle. It's not about money. It's not about chasing money or any of that stuff, but it's really about being a good steward of our ideas. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. Some ideas that we've had in the very beginning. I was just telling you that I ran across my goals that I wrote down back in 1989. I'm dating myself, right? So I looked at these goals, and I'll share that with you, but it's just crazy now, because we are all in different places, right? And we also talked about like your life being in quarters.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe the first 20 years is the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Then from 20 to 40 is the second quarter. From 40 to 60 is the third. Now, if you're above 60, you're now in the fourth quarter. It's like, okay, time's kind of up,
Right. Any given day.
Exactly.
Given day.
So, man, I know that when we first talked, I wanted people to know who you were,
mm-hmm.
right? Because just one aspect of you,
Sure.
not only do you always enjoy life, right? You always do that. But when I met you, it was very unique, because I was inviting my client to a dinner, and she was going to have a guest named Dexter Evans attend.
Jones.
I thought it was Dexter Evans, man.
It's me. I'm Dexter Evans. You had originally she invited Dexter Jones.
Dude, I thought your boy was Dexter Evans out in Austin.
Oh, that's
His last name is Jones? Okay, now we're finding out something new right now.
Right. So 2 Dexters.
It was just Dexter. It wasn't Dexter Evan. Okay, got you. All right, now I'm finding out something. Okay, so you have the same first name, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's what it was. All right, so 2 Dexters, right?
Yep.
And then she brought you. I didn't know.
Sure.
But that wasn't a chance greeting. That was an intentful greeting.
Sure.
That was purposeful. We didn't know what it was meant to be, but it grew to this. And so tell us about that, man. Like, what was your impressions when you came to that dinner and you met me?
Yeah, the impressions, like most of us, it was apprehension. I don't want to go to a dinner where I'm going to get talked up to try to buy something. I don't have no money to give anyway. I'm just going to go and hang out with her and just try to do the best I can. And when I got there and I saw someone that looked like me, that sound like me, man, I was like, okay, let's see where this goes. And your conversation hit on many points for many of the attendees that night. And I heard a little talking amongst each other when you would ask certain questions. And those questions were about our goals, dreams, anything from your educational standpoint. What do you aspire to do? And what have you told yourself that you're going to do to set those goals? I remembered that. Now, most dinners I've been to in the past, it was more so about the money.
Yeah.
It was, what are you going to do with money? How are you going to plan? But it never was about the person. And some of the journeys most of us were leading up to that point. We were very young, trying to figure things out. And I thought the approach you had was something that was more so about sitting down, having a good, honest conversation with yourself about what are your expectations in life? What are some of the weights on your shoulders from where you've come from, if there are any? But you were more so passionate about helping us to find our voice. That to me was different. That still is who you are, Cliff, because you'll always say, dude, really? So someone was talking to you and you had the table's attention, but you were talking to them and the person said something about a material item.
Yeah.
It was a very expensive car. And you sat back in your chair, dude, really? That's what you're gonna buy when you finally get your master's degree? This is what you're gonna buy your first toy? Is to gift yourself something.
Yeah.
Versus, how can you plan on creating something that would then gift you something in perpetuity?
Yeah.
I never forgot that.
Man, that's crazy, though. So some backdrop. So I was a financial advisor back in the day, right? And so a little bit of a backdrop as to why I was in that position.
Sure.
I had worked for like 18, 20 years doing something. I was a consultant, and it was right after 9/11 that the business got kind of dried up. And I didn't want to go back to a corporate environment. I was just thinking, excuse me. I was just thinking, okay, so what do I want to do now? What do I want to do next? Do I want to go back into that corporate type environment, being a CFO of a company? Or do I want to do something that is like legacy planning in the future? So I looked at my goals and I thought, well, at this age I'm at right now, what I wanted to do, I didn't want to be working someplace else. I wanted to be communicating some message out to the universe or my community that was just based on what I felt was important in life. And so I thought, well, a lot of people are chasing money, and money's like the end game. That's the end product. It starts first with what's inside. So I said, but to give me some credentials, let me go ahead and get into the field of financial planning. And so I thought at that time, okay, what companies are out there I can work with? And so hence I became a financial advisor, got my license, and I started building a practice. And so one way I built a practice was through relationships. I invited my clients to dinner and I asked them to invite their friends. And that's how we met. So that was the setting, right?
That's how we met.
But it's really interesting because when everybody was saying, okay, why should you pick this financial advisor? And every financial advisor had something to do with, creating a portfolio, helping you achieve your goals, financially, et cetera. I just felt like my value proposition was you should work with me because I enrich your life.
Sure.
Beyond finances.
Absolutely.
That's the basis of any relationship, in my opinion. So once we get to know each other, we talk about whatever goals you have. Then next, now I want to talk about what's important in your life. And now that you got this plan financially in place, you can spend more time now focusing on your ideas and how do you bring those to life, and you really enjoy the non-material things in life, which is really the most valuable things there are. So
Absolutely. No, that's what I remembered very well. The conversation was just so personal that it felt right. The timing was right. And I felt I made a decision that night to say, whatever I can contribute to the cause for us to get started, I will do so. Why? I'd never met an African American financial advisor prior to you. I'd never been at a dinner by an African American who hosted us and had a company backing them to try and support this effort. Never had that experience before. So for it to be the first time, just because there was a synergy that I thought the whole room felt, it just felt right. The timing was good. The opportunity was good. Because one thing I started to realize from high school, coaches and teachers were more so advocates for us. And then they became somewhat like a surrogate mother or a father. I really felt once I left school, I have to tag along with someone else to give me some sense of hearing things that I think make sense to me so that I can start figuring things out and not waste too much time talking about it and not waste too much time challenging what I see before me instead of just doing. Always saying critically what I don't see right, or why shouldn't I go this direction? I don't like that person, or I'm not sure about this program. I felt there were too many people, as young as we are, not sure about what we wanted. So therefore, I just felt there was not enough leaders or advisors or persons who stood up to share with us things that I thought were more reality based. You need to get yourself in the right perspective. So that's how that dinner went. That's why I thought it was most beneficial to me. And I left there feeling very inspired. I really felt like I look forward to working with you. And when I got a chance to meet you again, you were the same person.
yeah.
Versus you switch gears on me. Now I'm stuck with this conversation that I really don't want to be doing. So it was good stuff. And you, like I said, you're still the same dude. I like that. I like that. So that was very important. But even from Bible, this is number 2.
Right.
Because the first one you created for me was a visual plan of just asking preliminary questions about what it is I want.
Yeah.
And how do I see myself? And so, as we'll talk about this became my Bible of planning my life versus setting high expectations and high goals that I really would start to feel the weight of them if I didn't accomplish them.
Yeah.
This was a more realistic approach that I thought we can walk this path, and we can take steps, like you say, in quarters. We can take these steps to build this opportunity for yourself. So that was the more important thing about how your approach was for me. It was very successful.
All right, now I want to be clear on this. We're not going to talk about numbers and investments and any of that stuff. What we're going to talk about, though, is the stuff that I believe is really not discussed.
Correct.
Right. When I was building my practice, I thought about writing a book called Conversations with Your Financial Advisor, and talking about all of the conversations I had that was not about finances. It was about really what's important to you, because the principles to achieve goals is all the same, right? You got to have an idea or a vision of what you want. And then you've got to identify what type of steps and activities you need to take. Then you start taking them, and then you monitor it, right? And you be open to advice. And so what's interesting, I'm going to tell you about an experience I had as a child, and how that experience really is the key, or the roadmap or the blueprint for anything in life, and see how it worked with you when it comes to, where you are today. So for me, I'm born in South Central LA, right? Not much around me. Not a lot of role models for me to look at and say, hey, I want to be like you. But my family, though, was a nucleus of love, right? They valued relationships. And it's not just family relationships with everybody in the neighborhood and community, right? Which is what makes me who I am today. But when it comes to material possessions, I didn't see a lot of them around me. And I knew that in order for me to provide and to achieve some level of success, I would have to have an education, and I would need to go to college. But I didn't have a way of paying for that. And so my mindset was, okay, I know that if I am very smart, I can get scholarships. If I'm good in sports, which came later, then I can have a scholarship, athletic scholarship or academic scholarship. So my focus around me, even though the environment was not conducive of studying or seeing a lot of examples of very successful people, it was just, I was in the hood,
Mhm,
right? A
mhm,
lot of gangs and a
mhm,
whole bunch of activities and dangerous things to
mhm,
do.
mhm.
So I just really felt like, okay, well, let me go to bed. And I just envisioned what I wanted. I envisioned going to school and studying. I envisioned playing football and making touchdowns. It was a lot of visualization. And then I did the work. I practiced and I studied, practiced and I studied. Kind of like what I'm doing now, right?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
always practicing and studying.
sure.
and,
Always.
and then I achieved the goal of eventually having a number of D1 athletic scholarships as well as academic scholarships, right? So the model was something that was was ingrained to me very young, to where you have to have a goal, you have to envision yourself achieving it, be willing to pay the price and do the work, and no matter what your external circumstances are today, never believe them. Always believe in the vision that you can achieve whatever you want to achieve, right? And so when I met you, having a conversation with you about your goals and even hearing about how you started,
Mhm,
right? Working at McDonald's
mhm.
and going to school and your mentor, it just mirrored the same thing, right? So tell us about your story.
Yeah, coming from a small town in East Texas, Marshall, Texas, with myself and my sister and my mom. My father wasn't really in my life, and my mother was disabled. So, no Americans with Disability Act at the time meant my mother had no opportunity to have a mainstream job. It was the opportunity of a family, taking her in to allow her to clean a home or to clean hotels, and so she did that, but also through government subsidies was able to take care of us.
Mm-hmm.
But what she did, man, is she would not allow you to understand the concept of rich or poor. She made sure my sister and I were happy kids. She took us driving all over the city and in the countryside to look at property and land and homes. And through that, she would always just share her dreams of what she envisioned she could do. And being a small town kid, there were just a lot of things I was unfamiliar with, but just thought they were so unattainable because of being in the projects and not having anything to relate to that would be possible other than through education.
Right.
And so I knew I was a middle of the ground student. I knew I could study hard. I felt I could accomplish things through studying, but I fell right in the medium of students where you're not your GPA is just not high enough to get some of those scholarships because there are students who are right below the 3.8 or 3.7.
Right.
And then I knew I was better than a C student, but I was in the middle. So I knew going to school was going to be tough. But after graduating high school, I received about 7 acceptance letters of schools around Texas and one in Kansas and one in, I think it was Georgia. And I did not understand the magnitude of it because no one in my family ever been to college. Um, I was so determined to go to school and to make good for my mom and my sister. I don't know if you remember, Cliff. I was so determined. I took a ride up to the UNT campus, University of North Texas. At the time, it was North Texas State University.
Mm-hmm.
I was homeless my first semester of college. I had nowhere to live. Once I got all my classes, the sheer impact of realizing there is no one here to take care of me. I have to do this on my. I don't have the kind of money that they're saying you need to get a dormitory. I don't have enough money to get an apartment. I don't have a job,
Right.
right?
Right.
Sheer faith. My mother, being disabled, never allowed us to believe you can't accomplish anything if you don't try. And if you don't open your mouth, what's the saying? Closed mouth never get
Get
fed.
fed. Right.
She would always say that. And my sister says that today. But just faith.
Mm-hmm.
I believed I could do this. And when I got there, I wasn't afraid. I said, wait, now I've lived in the projects. I've seen people sleep on the streets. I've known some of these people. I didn't think it was that tough. I can do this. But something tells me he's going to make a way. So, anyway, makes a long story short, 3 high school classmates came into the student union where I was made my domicile. They came in to drop off mail to their parents and ended up running into me and knew that I couldn't tell a tale of what was my circumstances. The
Yeah.
one young lady I was very close to, she knew and just said, "Get your stuff and come on." And I ended up being their roommate on the couch for a semester and a half. And that to me was the groundbreaking experience of me believing just sheer determination made this situation come about. I was in the right place at the right time because I wouldn't give up. I didn't go back home. I stayed and I was committed to the process. I didn't care what the circumstances were. I wanted to go to school. My mother depended upon me and my sister believed in me. So I had to do that. So that was something that changed my life, that drew fear out of me versus believing I don't think I can do it. I just truly knew there was a value in that period of my life, but it did not scare me. So after we went through college, now it was meeting people like yourself, because now the people in our hood that you used to seeing driving, sparkly cars, wearing
Yeah.
fancy jewelry, I needed to meet some people who were on another level. I
Right.
needed to see what that looked like. I needed to see if it was something I even wanted to be a part of. Because all representation doesn't mean that's the actual picture once you become a part of it.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
wanted to
It's the
learn.
veneer,
It's the
right?
veneer, right?
Yeah.
So I needed to meet people who could give me an understanding of what that would look like, and that was a good time for it.
Well, man, the reason you're here is because somebody needed to hear that story.
Sure.
We
Sure.
we all find ourselves in a situation where, man, we got to rely on faith, and our present circumstances is nowhere close to where we want to be,
Sure.
right? But we have to have the faith to know that we will be provided for. So not everybody becomes homeless,
Right. Not
right?
everybody becomes
But
homeless.
sometimes we do.
Right. And
Right.
sometimes we face challenges that puts you in a situation that makes you feel you're up against a wall.
Yeah.
Whatever that may be, it happened to be that for me, but it doesn't mean it's for someone else. But whatever that challenge is, you're sometimes you're shaken by the sheer sense of the magnitude of the situation, and you got to figure out how.
Yeah.
How do I get past this? And most of the time, some of us succumb to the fear and succumb to the unknown. I don't know what's going to happen. But I thought the whole part was I had a goal.
Yeah.
If I stick to this goal, I need to find the way along this journey. I got to unturn some rocks. I got to lift up some pallets in the field that are rotting. I got to push back some grass. I've got to figure out, how do I get to this point? Because I said I wanted to get there. That to me was, how does a woman raise two children with a disability, having only one limb that's working and having a slight limp? And truly emotionally, you're thinking, how does she really deal with the emotional part of people looking and staring at her every day? She greeted them with a joke and a smile
Yeah.
to get through some of the hard days. So you can't tell me what you can't do. I'm one of those representatives.
Yeah.
So I was sent to tell you that. You can't tell me what you can't do. The possibility of you being able to accomplish what you've set out to do comes in the form of you setting forth a plan, a strategy, and setting goals, and live by it. We're going to have some days where it don't work out.
And you got to have grit.
You got to have grit.
Got to have grit. Well, man, here's the thing that I want to kind of dig deeper in. When you're young, and almost like you don't know better, like you think you can,
Right.
you just do it. Like you have that energy and that ability, that unshakable faith.
Sure.
But then what happens sometimes as we get older, not only do our muscles become atrophied, mentally we become challenged, but also we become like almost brainwashed, right? When we get beat down so many times, or things that we wanted and we didn't accomplish, it was easier for us to do when we were younger.
Sure.
But now as we're older and we have more responsibilities, there's different kind of fears, right? So has that happened to you?
Absolutely.
And then how did you find the strength, or how did you get through those type of difficult challenges, which are totally different,
Sure.
right? Facing them at 30
Sure.
and 40 and 50 than you were when you were in your 20s.
Yeah, no, agreed. I mean, I recently turned 56 last month.
and we feeling it,
and
right?
feeling it. And still some of those challenges come before me today.
Mhm.
But the one thing I know for certain I always rely on is, I say to myself, wait, but you've always shown patience. I never rushed the gun. I never jumped a head start. I've always waited to see the picture develop. You've played football, so I hear coaches say this all the time. Running backs get the ball. You run so quickly towards a hole that it collapses before you get there.
Yeah.
And most backs go so hard, so fast, they can't reroute their bodies. And the center force of the mass of your body goes straight into that particular place you thought you were going. But there are some running backs who have a special ability to put forth a little effort, 2-3 steps, stop, patiently wait,
Right.
maneuvering, and then finding a pivot.
Yeah.
I always thought that's the way I should look at things. If I run too fast, sometimes I've made mistakes I didn't really mean to make. So taking my time, keeping that faith, but also being patient to watch the developing picture show me what it is I think I should do.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had some circumstances in a market I've been investing in that I really thought I had this figured out. And then the market changed.
Mhm.
Unforeseen, unexpected things changed. So when the 2008 housing crisis hit, Texas was not that affected. However, I'm by myself. I'm single. I've had only one income, and I had all these multiple properties under my name. I made sure I kept my relationship with all the tenants, and all of them replied back to me, Mr. Evans, we're good if you're good. My job is intact. My health is good. They've allowed us all to work from home.
Mm-hmm.
We're good. So that I was anticipating a loss
Yeah.
of employment from one of many of my tenants. And I thought, what do I do? So I was very anxious and very afraid that things would happen. And I had to figure out, what do I do? Here's what I do, Cliff. I continuously run scenarios. Worst case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
What do I do? Worst case scenario number 2, what do I do? So my mentor would always say, have an ABC plan. God forbid you need D. But if you don't make a plan,
right.
you're for certain going to meet, a devastating result. So I always just run scenarios. So I have friends who look at me and say, D, you always thinking. I'm running scenarios. But that to me is the hard-nosed approach to realizing I am vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And I have some days where I don't feel my best. But truly the goal is to make sure that I cover myself. I just run scenarios.
Yeah.
If something happens, this happens, what do I do? How do I address it? Never take an approach to solving all problems with one fell swoop,
Mm-hmm.
because it may take resources that you didn't intend to use, because then the picture later develops and you realize I didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
So grit, determination, and just patience. A little patience is what I try to incorporate into my thinking.
Yeah. So what do you think about, is there so there's some things that I've had some ideas about,
Sure.
right? This really quick, like 3-step things, like this acronym of ACT,
Mhm.
like ACT.
Mhm.
So ask yourself empowering questions, commit to excellence, and then take action.
Sure.
The other one I've come across is like read, write, fight. Read, write, fight. So reading, there's a ton of stuff that comes our way, man. Like we're bombarded with too much information,
Right.
and it's not all positive, right? Everybody's opinion doesn't really care, but
Right.
but what it's negative information we're bombarded with, right? We can get lost and get a sense of being overwhelmed and get distracted and lose sight on what we really want in life. So this model of read, write, fight
Mhm.
says we should be reading. We should be taking in information from this podcast, taking in information from social media, but not the crazy stuff, but the stuff that really empowers you, that you're learning. And so that's part of it, that we should always be taking things in, questioning our assumptions, looking at other opinions, so that we have a broader perspective and ability to create scenarios when we run into them, right? So that's reading. But then writing says that we get bombarded with so much stuff, we never take the time to process that stuff.
Sure.
It's like eating food and never like getting the nutrition out of it. And so processing it is sitting down, slowing down,
Mhm.
and just reflecting on what we've taken in, and writing down our thoughts and our feelings, and really getting access to the wealth of wisdom that's within us, right? So that we can facilitate these insights coming out of us, right? So that's the writing piece. And then the fighting piece is like the action, right? We got to fight against certain things, and we got to fight for what we want. What we got to fight against is the negativity, the self-doubt, the fear, the limiting thoughts. I can't, right? That is an everyday battle, bro. Because what people don't see is what's inside, right? And
Right.
it's a constant fight. So it's a fight against those, but it's a fight for what you want. It's a fight for your passion, your dreams, what's possible, and the grit for that. And so I share those things with you,
Mhm.
the ACT model, and I'll go deeper on that later. The read, write, fight. You know, in your life, what is your acronym? What is the solution that you would share with all of us that has helped you get through the tough times?
Sure. I've shared it inadvertently through our conversation. You can't tell me what you can't do. It's just the belief that if you can dream it, if you can write it down, there is a potential you can actualize it. And truly something within reason, something within an idea, realizing there's nothing you can't attain, access, or be a part of that wealthy people can't be, that you couldn't be a part of that group or do some things they do. It just may take a little time.
Mm.
There's no part of this universe you can't experience. You don't have to absolutely be there, but you can certainly experience it. And the time it takes to get there, you can certainly accomplish that. So I truly believe through my journey, I have always looked at what this woman did for me. She never gave up. She fought for herself and she fought for us. So looking at this woman, petite, like I said, with challenges physically, but never showing us a spirit of giving up, defeat, or any sense of being marginalized where she felt she didn't belong. I never felt that, Cliff. So when I reached a part of my life that I thought, man, I'm in circles, I never thought the day the most inspiring day to me,
Mhm.
walking down Fifth Avenue, leaving the American Express building for AOL Time Warner, the first African American CEO at the time, had a meeting with them to talk about online resources and how we would help do the R&D, the research and development group, with our resources.
Right.
And I was in that meeting, and they looked at me as the person who had the background for the research content to talk to them about what I thought they needed. It may not be a big deal for some people, but for me, I left that office and I walked down Fifth Avenue. And a couple of comedy shows, comedians always will use a very inspiring song to kind of open their monologue.
Right.
And I remember Shaka Khan. He's on his way. He's coming to Hollywood. He's coming up to Hollywood. It was just the most monumental moment in my life where I thought, I never gave up. I never quit. I never thought about who said I couldn't, wouldn't, can't do it. I never thought about the consequences of saying the career I chose, I'm not going to get paid that much.
Hmm.
Never thought about that. I thought every day if I go to work and I dress like I want to be successful and I read and study the material like I want to know it and be able to digest it and then decipher it out, I want to do my part. And if that means I become a valuable asset to an organization or to someone, the reason why I got into the information industry and I got a library degree. My mentor asked me, what is it you most feel you're inadequate about? Information. And he says, why do you say that? I said, because my mom didn't know what programs or services were available to her because we always got the runaround when you went to certain offices.
Okay.
I was then the person who needed to figure that out. So truly, my acronym, it's a long one, but you can't tell me what you can't do. So when I invite someone over to my home or when I tell my story, the idea is I come from nothing. We feel this. We understand. There's so many of us,
Right.
but everyone's story hits another person a different way. So you have to tell your story. Everybody's story is important. So I really feel through this journey, when I met you, I don't have a brother, but you became my big brother. You guided me. You gave me homework. Clifton, I'd come to the office and you say, did you do your homework? Did you do your homework? And you say, the homework not gonna do itself. You remember that? You're like a teacher. The homework not gonna do itself. And
And then when you try to cancel, it's like, no, man. We
Yes.
blocked out this time. If you didn't do it, then the first thing we're doing is we're doing the homework right now, right?
Yes. Who cares enough about you to do that?
Oh my God.
As we grow and as we move out into this world, you lose contact, you lose connection.
Yeah.
But when you find someone who gives you a platform to hear what is important to you, that was my opportunity. And so that's why I invested in you, my time, my effort, my energy, but I listened to what you had to share. You're far wise beyond your years. Back then, you had some of the same conceptual ideas that you share now, but now you're on another level talking about more manifestation from an internal point,
Mhm.
an internal infatuation with harmony, peace, and the deliverance of more of yourself via sharing information, via the will to do service, via the will to get on another platform.
Yeah.
Oh man, you've really grown your efforts, and it's manifested itself. And so when you see yourself affecting other people, I feel like I'm one of the deliverers of that information. I go out into the community, I share the word, I share the websites, I share them having access to the weekly meetings now. People find themselves at a crossroad and don't know where to go. It's unfortunate, but sometimes people don't know how to ask.
Yeah.
We come from very different environments, and some people just don't feel the empowerment. The ones who have that ability, we don't worry about them.
Yeah.
You see that energy.
Yeah. It's not everybody.
It's not
right?
everybody.
Yes. So one of the things is there's a reason why I brought you on, which is what you're doing right now. um, I believe again that everybody, when you see the level of success,
Sure.
they don't see the process of success.
Sure.
They don't see the journey where you started from. And what we can all do, there's no expert on the human experience. All we can do is share our experience. And then through that, it will help other people look at their situation in a different light.
Mhm.
And by you sharing yours and sharing your struggle and then what you've learned, like, you can't tell me what you can't do.
Can't.
Man, my thing is like, if don't be arguing what you don't argue for what you don't want.
Right.
Don't argue what you don't want, man. What
You don't want.
It's like, but we all need to hear that story so that we can all look at this and say, hey, if you can do it, if you can start from here and get to there, then I can do it too.
Sure.
And if I don't know, believe that there's resources around you within reach,
Mhm.
whether it's the Empower series or meeting somebody that can help you make that happen. And you just got to look for whatever your faith is, look for God showing up,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
Because it's there, but sometimes you don't know the plan. So you're out there just floating,
Right. Just
floating on faith, the
Mhm.
substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. That's some real talk, right?
Real talk.
Man, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. We can talk for hours though.
Yeah, we can.
Right?
We can. It's some good stuff. I mean, not to interrupt, but seriously, you asked me what has changed that's pushing me,
Mhm.
to do different than when we first started.
Now what's
out.
next?
Yeah, what's next? And it's this gravitational pull towards me continuing to meet new people and to try and insert a part of myself and my energy into them as they would into me. And so I was telling you when we first met this evening, I was telling you I met a young man at a restaurant. And he was such a nice spirit. His energy was good. His articulation of how he shared with us the menu, the specials for the day, so well, shared it so well in its preserved sense of he really knows his job, right? And he went on and took care of a few other tables. Well, by the time the evening ended, he was really tired. And he showed it on his face, but he got to our table, took a big, deep breath, and he says, I sure do appreciate your patience for waiting on me. Is there anything else I can get you? And I just said to him, yeah, there is something else you can get us. And he said, sir, whatever it is, you let me know. And I said, you can get me an armful of faith, believing in yourself. I said, because I see something in you. And this young man just started crying.
Mm.
He started crying. He said, Mr. Evans, today was a very important day for me. He said, because I told my mom I'm going back to school. He said, I was in college. I went and I had so much fun, I didn't realize that I wasn't doing my work.
Mhm.
And he says, I'm working here to show myself these are the consequences of not doing what I said I wanted to do. You can get a lot of places, but if you're not going to do the work, you're not going to sufficiently ground yourself in that location you want to be.
Yeah.
So my mentor would say, son, I can help open the doors for you, but I can't keep you inside the hall.
Mhm.
You got to do that. And that to me, man, was when I really felt the maturation process of becoming a young man started. as well as a young woman starting on her journey to become an adult. Certain people put lights inside of you. Sometimes we want to flip the switch and turn on the light to make it even brighter, but sometimes you have to make those decisions. If you want what you say you want, you have to do the work. And I don't remember it ever being in our conversations or anyone you've ever introduced me to or anyone that's been on the Empower series who had a short, quick, easy story of success.
Right.
I don't remember that.
Because it don't exist.
It don't exist. So you got to do the work. And Clifton, I appreciate you very much. You have been a beacon for the community I'm a part of, the people I know, my family, my sister. You have been a beacon of hope and a strengthening point of contact for me, so that I give back to you because what you did for me, I feel like I can't repay you. But I truly will continue to be a part of the Empower series. I will continue to do my part to support you and your organization because it's very meaningful. It's a meaningful part of the community that I really feel it serves its purpose. There's not a lot of community efforts that come in this form, so you have to do what you can do and continue to do the work to support the community.
Good man. It's mutual, right? But what I'm hearing in your story is that Dr. George Fraser says this about life. The purpose is to love, to give, to share. No, to love, to give, to serve, and to add value to someone or something. And that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. That's what we all do, right?
That's what we're doing.
Well, man, hey, I appreciate all of the accolades that you have shared with me, but it goes back to you. And a lot of people see the Empower series and they think, oh man, we're growing, which is great. We actually have like our subscribership has almost doubled in a very short time because we're putting so much good content out there. But I remember when we started, it was just an idea that I had. And like no money. And I was just sharing my idea, knowing with confidence that we were going to it was going to happen. And then we're on our 15th year now. Wow. But you know what's so interesting? The more that you want to accomplish, the more resources it takes. Sure. So that never stops.
Never stops.
Right? Stepping into that faith of going, okay, well, we're going to do some great things, but right now we don't have the resources for it, but we got to believe. We got to step forward on that faith, right? And so we're doing the same thing here. That is the equation of life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, man. So the other thing I want to share with you is this, what Dennis Kimbrough says about compensation.
Yes.
The quality of service plus the quantity of service and the attitude of which is delivered will always equal compensation. Man, and I just see you as always giving. I see you as not only like receiving input from mentors, but also reaching back like you did with the young waiter and pulling. So as we're rising and getting inspiration to do things at a greater level, we're always looking back. And no matter where you are on that spectrum, you can always look back and bring somebody up, man. And you're an example of that.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
So, man.
That's the work. That's the work.
So, hey, if you've been watching this and you got something from it, then, hey, take it, right? Like, you can do it. There's no reason why you can't go through and achieve whatever it is you envision in your mind, and don't argue for what you don't want.
I like it.
So I want to thank you for watching. Also, man, if you want to support the Empower series, go to our YouTube channel, subscribe. You're on it right now. You can also go to our website, www.empowerseries.com. You can give us your contact information so you can be informed with our newsletter. You can give us a survey and let us know how we've impacted your life. If you want to give, there's also a donate button in the top left-hand corner, or you can text give or donate to 214-225-6337. That's 214-225-6337. But there's all kind of opportunities for you to give. Man, you can give of your time. You can give of your talents and in-kind services. AE Media Group does a great job in that. You can also be a donor individually, or if you're a company, you want to be a part of the Empower Series, contact me at thrive@empowerseries.com. If you're watching and you just want to give some, like $2, $5, whatever you want to give, there's a super thanks underneath the video. If you don't see the little heart with the $sign, you can hit the 3 buttons to the right, and you'll see the little heart with the $sign. You can give in that regard. Subscribe, or even join the Empower Series YouTube channel. Be a member. But there's many different ways for you to give, but the most important thing for you to do is to get what you're supposed to get from the Empower Series, because everything that you have inside of you, your purpose and your goal, is not really for you. It's for you to love, to give, to serve, and to be of value to somebody else. So you stepping through your fear, you stepping through and fighting against your negative self-talk is not really for you, but it's for the people that are looking at you who are going to be inspired by your journey and your story. So Dex, thank you, bro. Until we meet again, be empowered and inspired to thrive.